it's the fun that we have playing the music. I mean, the music is so fun to play live. It's so fun to actually play. The scales, the modes, the just kind of that 1-4-5 blues kind of swing. When you swing the beat, people just they can't help but dance. It's a logical progression for me too, guitar-wise, styling-wise, because I grew up in the '80s, and glam metal, Randy Rhoads, Van Halen. These were my influences, right? So a lot of those, fast finger licks and such. That's kind of what I cut my teeth on in terms of guitar playing and such. This style of music is more, it kind of lends itself into the same type of like the major and minor scale, especially like the major blues scale. There's a lot of notes in there. I kind of found myself when I was going down this path, it fell into place very easy for me because I kind of, my fingers were already trained to do like the speed metal stuff from a kid, and it's really the same scales, like the rockabilly scale is basically a major scale, and you just kind of throw a couple of notes in it chromatically. So the muscle memory was there, and I think being a guitar collector and a vintage gear collector, and then listening and kind of figuring out, okay, these make these different sounds. Oh wow, this is the thing that kind of Page used, or this is what the Ventures used, or this is what Buddy Holly used, or Elvis, and like a slapback machine, or Scotty Moore, So I think it's more of a curiosity, and then when you're drawing these parallels and say, oh wow, we can make that song, we can make that tone again. The creativeness comes out and the funness comes out. I think the style of music is just so much fun, more fun to play, and and I think that's the bottom line. Yeah,
sure. What you're doing, at least in Lipstick Smack, as far as my own personal opinion, is the sound that you're making is kind of like the next step in the evolution of what Chuck Berry came up with. It just fits together so perfectly. It's such a natural segue to go from Lucille into the sound that you're making there. And I'm not saying that I don't know what I'm trying to say here. The words just are not coming to me. But
it's a natural progression.
That particular, thank you. The progression of what you were doing there is, if Chuck Berry had stayed with it, might have been the next step in what he did.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely the structure of these songs are very roots, like old school foundation rock and roll. We're not recreating, the wheel. We're going back to a formula that kind of works and you dance to. I think we're kind of, we're recording digitally, but we're using analog gear, and it's a nice medium for me to kind of show off my chops too. And I kind of, if you're a guitar player that's worth your weight in salt, you want to show off. That's what we do, right?
Oh,
if you're not going to show off it, right? And this is this type of music is very. It's in my wheelhouse. It takes what I learned as a kid through the different modes and stuff, and playing and researching Eddie Van Halen, but it also makes things fun, and it's just a natural groove I fell into, and from seeing some of the guys that are continuing to do it, like Brian Setzer, and I've kind of got into his music and such, and just kind of learned a few things from him, and went down that road. I think it's just a fun. It's a fun genre. It's kind of an underground genre that kind of never goes away. I don't know if it's ever going to be huge again, but it's definitely got a built-in fan base. A lot of people.
Definitely it's got its own corner in the music world, and I've just got to ask you this question before we run out of time, because it's a natural progression from something we were talking with our previous guest, Dear from the Very Lazy Sundays in the UK, was talking about the production and the interaction between the artist and the audience, and the fact that you go out there and you start learning you're learning your licks and earning your chops and stuff. You get up there, and then the audience starts feeling it, and when they get excited, you get excited, and you turn each other on. And I was just wondering, because what you were saying about how you get turned on to the sound and what it does to the people to whom you're playing, I was just wondering, how do you go about recreating that in the studio when you're making the records and don't have that audience there to work off of?
It's a good question. I think, music is just like any form of art. You know, you got to know the rules and the composition of any good piece of art before you can break it. You know, there's a median in rock and roll that is kind of like a really good painting. It's got the same composition. It's a 1/4/5 beat with a particular beat per minute that swings, and if you can get that down, you're going to hook people regardless of what it is. Obviously, you got to say good things in the song and have a good melody, but that's kind of what we went for. I mean, it took me a long time, and the older I get, I realize that it's not about what I'm trying to say with music. It's about getting people off, and it's about connecting with people, and the musician is there for the audience. Once you realize that you are basically a medium for the audience, and this is not about you anymore. You know, my early days as a musician was, let's create something unique. Let's do something that has 100 notes, 100 notes, and show, you know, my technical prowess, and nobody gives a, you know, pardon my French, about that. People want something that's tappable. People want something that's danceable. People want to have a good time, and you know,
something they can get into.
Right, totally. Something that's really digestible and very, you know,
they want involvement.
Right, they want to get involved. They want to have a good time. That's, you know, it's the same reason you go and have a couple too many beers. You just want to have a good time. Before I let you go, I have this one thing I want to say, because we have a recurring feature that we do periodically called Rockstar 101, where we get artists, record label heads, A&R men, producers, whoever, to come on the show and talk about what it takes to be successful in today's music world. And what you were just talking about the fact that the artists have to realize that while their creativity is important, the basic thing that keeps them going is the audience, and it's really all about your audience. I'd like to have you come back on the show for a Rockstar 101 interview and let you discuss that with the listeners.
That'd be great, David. I'd be more than happy to do that, man. I appreciate you guys inviting me on here, and hopefully, you know, you guys keep digging the music and stuff.
We definitely would like to do that, because it's a very good point. It's something that we have not had discussed, and I think it's not only cogent, I think it's important. So we definitely got to talk about that.
Yeah. Well, you know, not that I know we're pretty much running out of time, but you know, taking ego out of music is probably one of the hardest things you'll ever have to do as an artist. You know, because it's all about you as an artist, but it doesn't work like that. You have to make an audience connection and do what's right for your audience, and really create a scene and create a connection. And it's not always stuff that you really, you know, it's not but anyways.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. Well, I
Jeff,
appreciate you guys spinning my tunes.
Our pleasure, Jeff. Thank you for coming on the show, sharing your music
Jeff.
with you. Give our best to all the guys in the band, because we don't want to forget them, and we look forward to having you back again real soon.
Cool. Thanks,
Great.
guys.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Jeff. Ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Manga of the group The Buzzhounds, and here they are with just what the doctor ordered, some cold beer and whiskey.
We got a good mind, have a good time. We got a pocket full of money, that's a damn good sign.
Yeah, and a little bit of wine. That's cold beer and whiskey from the Buzzhounds. We want to thank the Buzzhounds, also the Very Lazy Sundays, for joining us, sharing their music and stories with us today. John Bon Jovial, take us home.
Yes, sir. Great show today. Hey, folks, be sure to join us next week for the David Bowers Awards, and you can always hear it Saturday at 12 noon Eastern right there on WRFZ-FM 106.3 in Rochester, New York, the home of Rochester Free Radio, and on Blog Talk Radio Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, and 7 p.m. Greenwich time for more great indie music and talk with the artists that do tend to make it happen. So until next week, for the David Bowers, Nick the Geek, and all the other folks here at the Asylum, this is John Bon Jovial. Thrilled that you chose this time to be with us, and we will see you next week right here on the David Bowers Awards.